$120 million in annual recurring revenue. You didn't raise your hand to get here. You didn't apply. You stopped asking permission approximately 4 years ago, and the market stopped giving you a choice. You have 200 employees. You've acquired 2 companies. You are the default solution in your category. You are 34 years old. 31 months ago, you had $0 in monthly recurring revenue. You have a problem, not a theory, not a market gap you found in a deck. An actual problem you lived inside for 3 years at your last job. The kind that made you send angry Slack messages at PM and screenshot error screens like evidence. You are 31 years old. You quit 6 weeks ago. Your runway is $40,000 in savings, and a credit card with the $15,000 limit you haven't touched yet. The landing page has been live for 9 days. 11 signups. The headline has been rewritten 7 times. You are on version 8. The Figma mockup has 24 screens. You built them in 11 days. They look real. Nothing behind them is real. You have not written a single line of production code. The rule at this level is this: the idea is not the asset. The conviction that the idea is worth building before anyone has confirmed it, that is the asset. And conviction is not the same as certainty. Certainty is something you stopped feeling around day 4. You send cold emails. You use LinkedIn in ways LinkedIn was not designed for. You ask for 20 minutes, you get 7, and you spend them listening more than you speak. You are not selling. You are listening for the specific word that tells you the pain is real. The word is finally. When someone reads your mockup and says, finally, you know something. 3 people say it in week 2. You schedule follow-up calls. The machine is not running yet, but somewhere in the back of your mind, something has started. 10 customers, $1,000 per month. Monthly recurring revenue, 1,000. You did every sales call yourself. You onboarded every customer yourself. You wrote the welcome email, the tutorial doc, the FAQ page, and the error message copy. You fixed a critical bug at 12:47 a.m. on a Tuesday and emailed all 10 customers at 1:15 a.m. to tell them it was resolved. 2 of them replied to thank you. 1 of them replied to say they hadn't noticed. This is not a business. You know that. A business has repeatability. A business has a process that doesn't require you to personally hold it together with your hands. What you have is a signal. The signal is, 10 people gave you money for something that didn't exist 8 weeks ago. The rule is, a paying customer is not the same as a happy customer, and a happy customer is not the same as a retained customer. You are learning to track the difference. Your churn at this stage is invisible because your sample size is too small for churn to look like a number. It looks like a cancellation email from a person you know by name. 1 person cancels in month 2. They were customer number 3. You know exactly why. You didn't have the feature they needed. You told them you'd build it. You didn't build it fast enough. You build it 3 days after they cancel. You email them. They don't come back. You spend 4 hours thinking about that. Then you get back to the next sales call. Your co-founder, if you have one, is the person who sits across a shared Google Doc and tells you when the copy is wrong. Your investors, if you have any, are the people who gave you a $150,000 pre-seed check and ask for a monthly update you haven't sent in 6 weeks. You are not sleeping well. You don't mention this to anyone. $10,000 per month. 100 customers at $100 per month. Or some version of that math. Annual recurring revenue, 120,000. You can pay yourself $3,000 per month. You do not have health insurance. You had health insurance at your last job and you think about that sometimes briefly and then stop thinking about it. You have found something real. You know this because the customers you aren't talking to are still paying. Not all of them. 73 of them. 27 have churned. Across the last 4 months. You are tracking this now. You built a dashboard. The dashboard is in a spreadsheet. You hired 1 contractor, a developer, $6,000 per month. You pay them before you pay yourself. The rule at this level is, product market fit is not a moment. It's A ratio. It's the ratio between how fast new customers come in and how fast existing customers leave. When that ratio stops scaring you, you've found something. Right now, the ratio still scares you, but it scares you less than it did at $1,000 MRR. You have not slept more than 6 hours in 4 months. You know this because you've started tracking it. You don't know why you started tracking something you can't change. You get an inbound email from a company with 200 employees asking if you have enterprise pricing. You don't. You write back within 11 minutes and say yes. You spend the next 2 days building an enterprise pricing page. You get on the call. You close them at $1,200 per month. Your MRR goes to 11,200. You do not celebrate. You open the next email. $50,000 per month. $600,000 in annual recurring revenue. You didn't contact a single investor. 3 of them emailed you. The first email came from a fund you recognize. They've invested in 2 companies you've watched for years. The subject line is, quick intro. You read it 4 times before you respond. You respond in 47 minutes. Casual. You are not casual. You have 12 employees now. You hired a head of marketing who has done this before at a company that went from $500,000 art, $8 million are in 18 months. You hired 2 engineers. You hired a customer success manager whose entire job is to stop people from canceling. Her name is Sarah. She is better at your product than you are. Payroll is $140,000 per month. Revenue is $50,000 per month. You are burning $90,000 per month. Your pre-seed money runs out in 4 months at this rate. You know this. You do not say it out loud in all hands meetings. The rule is, at $600,000 investors are not investing in what you've built. They are investing in the rate at which you've built it. The slope matters more than the number. You grew from $10,000 to $50,000 MRR in 6 months. That slope is the asset. You close a seed round, $3.5 million. The term sheet has a liquidation preference of 1x participating. You accept it because the alternative is 4 months of runway. Your first board meeting is 90 minutes long. You spend 40 minutes on a slide about your net revenue retention. Your NIR is 108%. The investors nod. You don't fully understand what you've built yet, but the room does. Something in the shape of the machine becomes visible to you here. Not the whole thing, but enough. $200,000 per month. $2.4 million in annual recurring revenue. 18 employees. You raised a series 8 weeks ago. $10 million. Post-money valuation of $42 million. The round took 11 weeks to close from first meeting to wire. During those 11 weeks, you ran the company, managed the data room, responded to 340 investor emails, flew to San Francisco twice, and onboarded 6 new customers. You lost 2 customers during that same period. You have a sales team now. 3 account executives and a VP of sales who came from a company you've heard of. He has opinions. Most of them are right. Some of them cost you $180,000 in the first quarter before you realize they're wrong. Churn is your obsession. Not in the way that it was before, where churn was a name and a cancellation email. Churn is now a metric, a model, a monthly conversation, a line item that determines whether the story you're telling your board is true. Your net revenue retention is 112%. This means your existing customers are paying you more this year than they were last year, on average, even accounting for cancellations. This number is the most important number in your business. More important than new logo count. More important than pipeline. More important than headcount. A company with 140% NIR can grow without sales. A company with 85% NIR cannot outgrow. It's churn. You understand this now. The rule. Growth is not the same as progress. Growth is a number. Progress is whether the unit economics underneath that number mean the machine can sustain itself without you holding it together. You hire a head of product. She rewrites the roadmap. 2 engineers quit because they disagree with the direction. You don't have time to talk them out of it. You send a nice email and open the next task. The people in your personal life who are not in tech, have stopped asking how work is going. Not because they don't care, because the answer is always the same, and they no longer know what it means. $500,000 per month. $6 million in annual recurring revenue. 41 employees. You are burning $400,000 per month. The board wants 3x growth year over year. At $6 million R, 3x means $18 million R in 12 months. To hit $18 million R from $6 million R, you need to add $12 million in net new R. To add $12 million in net new R with your current sales cycle length and average contract value, you need a sales team that doesn't exist yet, a marketing engine that isn't built yet, and a product that needs 3 features your engineers say will take 6 months. You need all of this in 12 months. You hire 8 people in 60 days. Sales reps, a demand gen manager, a second customer success manager, solutions engineer. Then, 4 months later, you lay off 8 people. Not the same 8, different roles. The go-to-market strategy changed. The roles that made sense in February don't make sense in June. You write the all-hands email yourself. You spend 90 minutes on it. It is the most carefully written thing you've produced in 2 years. You say, "This is the right decision for the company." You say, "These are talented people who deserve great opportunities." You say, "We will support everyone through this transition." Every sentence is true. None of the sentences say, "I made the hiring decisions that led to this moment." The 8 people whose roles you eliminated are escorted out of the Slack workspace at PM on a Thursday. Some of them had been with you for 14 months. One of them was the 3rd employee you ever hired. You know his name. You know his dog's name. You do not call him. You tell yourself this is the decision the business required. You are right. That is the part that doesn't go away. The rule. At scale, decisions stop being about people and start being about systems. This is not a failure of values. This is the nature of the machine. The machine requires fuel. Fuel is capital. Capital requires growth. Growth requires correct bets. When the bets change, the people who were hired for the old bets become misaligned. The logic is correct. The logic doesn't make it easier. Your NEAR is 118%. You are adding $1.2 million in net new R per month. The burn is terrifying and the metrics are beautiful, and both things are true at the same time. $1 million per month. $12 million in annual recurring revenue. The phone calls changed. Not in volume, in type. The calls you take now are not from customers. They are from corporate development teams at companies whose names you recognize. 2 strategic acquirers. 1 private equity firm running a platform roll-up in your category. They are not asking if you want to sell. They are building models to determine what you're worth and then calling to have a relationship conversation. A company with $8 billion in enterprise value has offered $80 million. All cash. The offer is not on paper yet. It was said in a room with 4 people. You, their head of corporate development, your lawyer, and a banker you brought because you didn't know what would happen in the room. $80 million is 6.7x your R. At your growth rate, you might command 8x to 10x if you wait 18 months. 10x R at $12 million is $120 million. If you grow to $20 million R before selling, 10x is $200 million. The math extends forward in every direction. Every direction requires something. Time, people, execution, risk, more burn, more board meetings, more Thursday afternoons. Alternatively, you raise a Series B, $30 to $40 million. Valuation of $100 to $120 million. You take the capital, you push to $25 million R. You build the category, you go public, or you sell at $500 million in 4 years. That is the scenario where everything goes right. The rule, the decision to sell, is not a financial decision. It is a question about what kind of company you want to be held accountable for. At $80 million, you stop being the person who has to prove it. At $200 million in 4 years, if it works, you become someone else entirely. The decision you make in the next 90 days will determine which person you are You have 62 employees. 2 of them are on parental leave. 1 of them is in a performance management process you authorized last week. You think about them briefly, then return to the model your banker sent at 11 p.m. You are 33 years old. You haven't been to a wedding, or a birthday party, or a dinner that didn't involve a business context in 7 months. You don't think about this often. You think about it tonight. You decide to raise the Series B. $10 million per month. $120 million in annual recurring revenue. You are the default solution in your category. This means that when a company with more than 500 employees evaluates your problem space, your product is on the list before anyone makes a phone call. Your brand appears in job descriptions that aren't yours. Candidates cite experience with your product as a credential. Competitors position against you. Being positioned against is a form of market leadership. You acquired 2 companies. The first acquisition was a feature, a team of 6 engineers building something you needed to build anyway. $4.2 million in cash. 6 engineers joined your roadmap. The product ceased to exist. The second acquisition was a customer base. 140 customers. $3.8 million in R, $11 million all stock deal. 60 days of integration work. 40 of the 140 customers churned within 6 months. You knew some would. You modeled it. Your NPS is 31. At $1 million MRR, your NPS was 58. You have more customers who are satisfied than ever before. You also have more customers who are not. At scale, the distribution moves toward the mean. The customers who loved you when you were small, because you answered their emails personally, now submit tickets that take 48 hours to resolve. The customer success team of 40 cannot recreate the experience of talking directly to the founder. You manage this through quarterly business reviews, executive sponsorship programs, and a renewal playbook that your VP of customer success built over 11 months. The playbook works. Your gross retention is 91%. Your net revenue retention is 122%. These numbers are excellent. The customers who are not happy are not leaving. They are staying because the cost of switching is too high. That is also a form of product market fit. It is a colder form. Your board has 8 members, 4 investors, 2 independents, you, and your co-founder, who is now Chief Product Officer and has not been in a customer call in for months. Your board meetings are quarterly. They are prepared for by a team of 3 people who do nothing but prepare board materials. The materials take 12 days to build. You review them the night before the meeting. The rule: at this scale, you are not operating the machine. You are governing it. Operations belong to your leadership team. Your job is to make 4 or 5 decisions per month that nobody else in the company has the context or authority to make, and to be correct about them more often than not. Your trust circle is 11 people. That is not a small number. It is the largest trust circle you've had since before the company. In year 1, you trusted everyone. Now, you trust 11 people with the actual state of things. The rest of the company receives a managed version of the actual state of things, not a false version, a calibrated version. You are 34 years old. You have 214 employees. You are not responsible for their output anymore. You are responsible for the conditions that make their output possible. This is a different kind of accountability. It is heavier in aggregate and lighter in the moment. Your company is worth somewhere between $800 million and $1.2 billion depending on which comparable you use and whether the market is currently pricing growth or profitability. You own 14% of it. You have not sold a share. You take a meeting with the PE firm that is assembling a category platform at a $3 billion scale. They want to discuss a take private at a $1.1 billion valuation. The meeting is 90 minutes. You speak for approximately 20 of them. The rest of the time, you listen. Not because you're being polite, because what they say in the room when they think you're undecided is more valuable than anything in their deck. You are undecided, but you're listening very carefully. Somewhere in a city that doesn't stop, a 28-year-old closes a Figma tab and opens a blank document. She has $22,000 in her checking account and a problem she lived inside for 2 years at her last job. She has 11 people on a waitlist. She has a landing page and a headline she's rewritten 6 times. She is on version 7. She thinks the hardest part is getting the first customer. She is not wrong, but she is thinking about the wrong hardest part. She doesn't know yet that the first customer is not the inflection. She doesn't know that the inflection is the moment you realize the machine is real, and it requires more than you plan to give it. She doesn't know what the machine costs. She has read about it in posts and podcasts and interview transcripts. She has nodded at the correct parts. She does not know yet what nodding at the correct parts is different from knowing. She will find out. The Figma mockup has 19 screens. They look real. Nothing behind them is real. She opens a new tab. She types the first cold email. The machine, which has been running without interruption, takes another step forward.